Shuckalaka kapow! How's it going, old schoolers? You're kicking it old school with Russell J.S., and I'm your host, Russell J.S. Back for another track by track, album versus album. This time, I'm going ahead and I'm putting two great heavy metal compilation CDs up against each other. One is a band that helped kickstart the entire heavy metal genre, and the other is by its replacement singer who ended up getting success in his own right, just like the band's original singer. What am I talking about? Black Sabbath greatest hits 1970 to 1978 versus the very beast of Ronnie James Dio. Now, the thing is about Dio, you see, as you all know, all you Sabbath aficionados out there, if you're a Sabbath fan like I am, you know the whole story about how Sabbath was getting ready to oust Ozzy out of the band because of his drug use and his, booze and everything. The manager convinced them to fire Ozzy. And what happened was Sharon went to collect money that Ozzy was holding on to that he went ahead and spent on drugs, and then all of a sudden she berated him and got nasty with him, and then he made her laugh, and she went ahead and decided, you know what? We're going to go ahead and we're going to make you into a solo artist. She, without blessings from her father, who was Sabbath's manager at the time, without his blessings, she took it upon herself, take a gamble, take a risk on Ozzy, and launched him into what would become his solo career, where he would never really need Black Sabbath. And then, you know what? Sabbath had their big comeback as well when they replaced Ozzy Osbourne with former Elf and Rainbow frontman Ronnie James Dio. Now, Dio, he lasted at the time 3 albums, with the comeback Heaven and Hell, the second one, The Mob Rules, and a live album called Live Evil. And then he went and parted ways with Sabbath to go ahead and do his own solo career, which he would come out with the album Holy Diver. Now, there's a lot of people out there who prefer the Dio years over, the original lineup, but you got to remember, the original lineup had come back many times over on occasions. Live Aid, No More Tours Tour, Ozfest, and, like Dio returned to the fold in 1992 for their album Dehumanizer, and then once again he had left Sabbath, and I think he got replaced by Tony Martin by that point. And what happened was Ozzy did retire, in around 1993. And then he, of course, Sharon, she's got her way of making him come out of retirement, which, by the way, he did his final concert ever. Invited a colossal who's who of hard rock and metal to be there, paying tribute. Ozzy sang a couple of his solo numbers, and he did get on stage with Sabbath, where it was Ozzy, Tony, Geezer, and Bill, the original lineup. And it was a spectacular, triumphant send-off for Ozzy to enjoy what's left of his years. And truthfully, I don't think, let me get this hair out of my mouth. Truthfully, I don't think Ozzy has much time left. I mean, it was really sad seeing him just sit in that chair and sing his songs. I mean, I don't think we're going to have the Oz for very long. I think his time is coming. But you know what? He's had a great career, and we wish him all the best. And, who knows if he goes like tomorrow, maybe on the other side, he and Dio will make peace. But the thing is, Ronnie James Dio, he was dubbed the king of heavy metal, where Ozzy's the godfather of heavy metal. But also, I want to say, as always, if you're new to the channel, please leave a like, subscribe, Leave comments in the box down below. Nothing nasty, nothing negative. But we're going to go ahead and see how these two compilation albums rank against each other. So without further ado, let's check these bad Oscars out, shall we? Now, I went ahead and was writing this up last night, so if you have a copy of the very beast of Ronnie James Dio, I apologize if some of the songs are mixed up out of order, but let's go ahead and get into it, shall we? Okay, the title track, Black Sabbath versus Stand Up and Shout. Ooh. Well, I can't really say I care much for Stand Up and Shout, so I'm giving the point to Black Sabbath. NIB versus Holy Diver. You know what? I love them both. I don't care. I'm going to go ahead and give them both a point. The Wizard versus Rainbow in the Dark. You know, The Wizard has a really killer groove to it. You know, it is from the first album, and that first album helped launch the genre of heavy metal forever, changed the way we look at hard rock and metal. But, you know, they could have done, I understand Ozzy, you know, originally Sabbath was supposed to be a blues-based rock band, and Ozzy's on the harmonica. But you know what? I have to give it to Rainbow in the Dark. War Pigs versus Straight Through the Heart. Now, this is what started that beautiful, awesome Paranoid album. But you know what? It's going against Straight Through the Heart, and they're both great, so they're each getting a point. Paranoid versus We Rock, that became one of the few big number one hits for Sabbath off the Paranoid album. And We Rock, it's got a killer rhythm going, killer tempos, great guitar riffs from, you know, Vivian Campbell. So they both get a point. And right now they are tied. Iron Man versus The Last in Line. The Last in Line is pretty good, but, you know, Iron Man has just got that classic, oh man, you know, with Tony Iommi and Geezer Butler doing that dogfighting with the guitar and the bass, and Bill Ward's thunderous drums, and Ozzy's just scorching vocals. You know, I'm sorry, but that beats The Last in Line. Sweet Leaf versus Mystery. You know, I love that beginning intro. I love the fact that they recorded, what was it? Tony Iommi was hitting the hash pipe really hard. It made him cough, and they recorded it. And then they just went ahead and put that in the song. So you know what? And Mystery, I love the way Mystery sounds too. I mean, the guitar riffs and the keyboards and Dio's vocals, they both get a point. All right, Children of the Grave versus King of Rock and Roll. You know what? I'm not a big fan of King of Rock and Roll, so easily I got to give that to Children of the Grave. Changes versus Sacred Heart. Well, Changes is kind of more of a soft, kind of power ballad kind of thing. You know, I have nothing against power ballads. I really don't. Some are really great and some are, you know, kind of mediocre and flaky. I mean, Changes is good, but I'm going with Sacred Heart. Snowblind versus Hungry for Heaven. Oh man, you know, Hungry for Heaven, yeah. You know, it's not that great of a song, so I have to go with Snowblind. Super Nant versus I Could Have Been a Dreamer. Don't really care much for Super Nant, so, and I really love I Could Have Been a Dreamer, so I'm going ahead and giving that the point to Dio. Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath versus Man on the Silver Mountain Live. Oh, this is really a tough call because Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath to me is one of Sabbath's greatest tunes. And you got Man on a Silver Mountain Live, which is originally it's a classic by Rainbow. I love them both. You know what? Heck it, I'm giving them both a point. Hole in the Sky versus Rock and Roll Children. This is where, in their career, they're kind of going for, I don't know. This is where I think in many ways, this is where the excesses was getting to them, to Sabbath. And, I guess that's when all the drugs and everything, were coming to play and the excesses, and they were kind of, almost running out of steam. So I have to give that to Rock and Roll Children. Rock and Roll Doctor versus Lock Up the Wolves. Yeah, again, this is to the point where they're getting to their cheesy period. This is like, Technical Ecstasy and Never Say Die. And you know how I feel about Never Say Die. So I'm going to go with Lock Up the Wolves. That gets the point. Never Say Die versus Strange Highways. You know what? I do like this this tune, Never Say Die. I just didn't care for the album. And Strange Highways, that's kind of so Sabbath gets the point. Dirty Women versus Dream Evil. Dirty Women was a decent track, and I love Dream Evil. So you know what? I'm gonna give them each a point. And here's where we're at right now with Sabbath Greatest Hits 70 to 78 versus the very Beast of Dio. We are at a tie, so you know what that means. Old George Washington is going to have to help us out in this. Okay. This is, you know how I do this when two CDs have a tie. All right, heads, it's going to be Black Sabbath, and tails, Dio. And now I'm going to flip the coin and whatever it lands on. And the winner is heads. So you know what that means, people. And you could all rest. All you Black Sabbath, all you diehard original lineup Sabbath fans can rest easy tonight because original Black Sabbath wins this round. And see, I wrote it down like I normally did. And look, there's the quarter. It landed right on heads. Black Sabbath wins. I mean, it was a decision I had to make. I mean, both these CDs have got great tunes and great musicianship in the songs. But you know what? They both tied, so I had to flip a quarter. Now, I'm getting more videos. If I can find my cassette copy of Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction, I'm gonna be doing a track by track, album versus album with something special. And you know what? You people are gonna look at me because I know some of you don't care for Guns N' Roses, and you're gonna be like, "Oh, Guns N' Roses. I mean, I hope Guns N' Roses doesn't win because I think the other album's better." But you know what? Don't get it twisted. They're both, one album. I mean, who knows? One album may win against Guns N' Roses. You never know. And I've got more stuff. Look, see? I've wrote down more album versus album, track by track. I'm going to get some more stuff going. At any rate, I just celebrated my 47th birthday a couple days ago. I am now 47 years old. Yay, happy birthday to me. I mean, I usually look at my birthday. Don't think I'm being negative, but the thing is, when it comes to me and my birthday, I do celebrate it, but I only celebrate it in a different kind of light. The way I celebrate it is I made it another year. The good Lord blessed me. So I'm with you for another year, and I hope to be with you again more years to come, because I got more stuff brewing. I got more ideas happening. And, like I said, if you're new, subscribe, leave comments in the box down below, hit like, ring the bell for notifications, tell all your friends. At any rate, that's going to do it for this video. As always, I want to wish you all to keep it chill, keep it fresh, keep it, rocking. Listen to old school music, old school movies, video games, TV shows. Keep it fresh, keep it chill, get you enough of, peace, love, tranquility, get you enough of less drama, less chaos, get you enough of whatever your heart truly desires. And as always, Russell J.S. wants to wish you Godspeed. May the force be with you always. And shucka-lucka kapow!